welcome to Athena's Rapid Fire Takes on Ethics and Compliance Issues. I'm delighted to have Joe Rodgers with me today, who's the Senior Vice President for Ethics and Compliance at Eaton Corporation. Eaton has more than 100 years of history with nearly 100,000 employees and customers in 180 countries. Eaton's Ethics and Compliance program has been recognized as a global model of effectiveness and impact, including 15 years of designation by the Ethisphere Institute as one of the world's most ethical companies. Joe, welcome to the podcast.
Well, Susan, thank you for inviting me, and I know how passionate you are about this space, and I am privileged to be here and spend some time with you. Thank you.
Fantastic. So let's dive in. We start with 3 rapid-fire responses. So are you ready for that?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. In large companies like yours, command and control compliance has to be the primary basis of an effective ethics and compliance program.
I would say no. We certainly at Eaton think that laws, regulations, and policies are crucially important, but ultimately it's the values, Susan. It's the values that are important. We like to say values, not just rules.
I love that. Second, company policies are the best way to communicate compliance requirements to employees.
Once again, I would have to say no. Again, policies are very important, but really think that the policies convey the what. The why is, for us, conveyed through stories, and that's how you bring those policies and the meaning behind them to life.
And that brings up the third statement, which is ethics and compliance effectiveness depends upon grassroots employees, not just the C-suite, legal, or managers, and how they incorporate ethics into their work.
That is an easy one, absolutely. We know that the tone at the top is crucially important. That said, we also believe strongly that ethics is about action. It's about decisions. And those have to be lived at every level of the company. And ethics is title agnostic. We need to make the right decisions in the moment.
Well, let's jump into those in greater depth. And I really want to highlight areas of your program, like your reflections on ethics, your leadership videos, Ethics Week, Integrity in Action. And that seems to me how you focus on bringing Eaton's values to life. So if you could tell us about that, that would be fantastic.
Oh, I'd love to. We're really proud of our program, and we're always trying to evolve it and improve it. And there are really a lot of ways where we are thinking creatively about ethics, and we really would probably put these in a few different buckets. I'd go back to storytelling, engaging employees, and then really operationalizing our program. And I'll maybe make a few comments about those, Susan. Storytelling, as I mentioned, is so important to be able to convey our values in a meaningful way that employees can relate to. We have an article called Real Life Ethics, where we publish it about once a month, and we talk about real stories, not hypotheticals, whether they're at Eaton or ripped from the headlines, and it's done in a way that employees can relate to. We do a 5-minute ethics that we provide to business leaders, and it's an opportunity for the employees to talk about ethics and have a discussion around them. And we also attend a lot of business meetings. We really ask that our leaders commit time to ethics and include it in the agenda. And we don't just walk in there with data. That is not a strategy that gets you invited back all the time. We want to bring the data to life, once again, through stories and real life examples. We also, as you mentioned, we're really proud of the fact that we have the Integrity in Action podcast, where we ask leaders to share their experiences and talk very openly and transparently about their journey and why ethics is so important to them. And a wonderful ambassadors program. And Ethics Week has really grown at Eaton, and it's a celebration. It's a celebration of our values. And one thing that I really like to mention, because it's a creative approach on ethics, I think, is we have an art contest. It's called the Most Ethical Contest, and we invite employees around the globe to share what ethics means to them, and they do it through art, whether it's photography or pictures or songs, and it's really taken off. And we put these in our annual Reflections on Ethics yearbook, and this is something that I'm so proud of the team for pulling this together. It's an opportunity for us to really recognize employees who have done an outstanding job for us, supported us, and we tell their stories, and then we feature the art contest winners, and there's videos, and it's just a wonderful way to once again celebrate employees, but also to think of ethics a little differently. And I always like to say, Susan, I know you share this view, that we're really not trying to just tell employees what not to do. We're trying to inspire them to do the right thing. And I get so much inspiration from our employees. And then maybe just a couple final points. We really believe that you have to operationalize the program. And what I mean by that is trying to embed the program in current processes. We talk about that bolt on, which we don't like, or seeing ethics as something different. It really isn't. It's just part of business strategy. So last year we launched what's called ethics Gemba Walks. And Gemba Walks are traditionally used in the manufacturing space to talk about quality and safety issues. And you walk the factory floor and you talk with employees. Now we've added ethics questions to that. Have you had any experience with the helpline? Do you know how to contact the help? What does ethics mean to you, to get employees just talking about it and prioritizing ethics? So those are just a few ways. We also have Operating with Ethics, where we ask our leaders and employees just dedicate 5 minutes at a meeting, work it into the agenda so that it's part of the operating cadence. So that's a long-winded answer, but those are just a few ways where we're trying to meet employees where they are. But I'll tell you what, Susan, I have learned more from our employees about how to actually celebrate ethics, because they are the inspiration and they have so many good ideas. It's really fun to watch.
Well, Joe, I'm glad you gave us a good glimpse into some of the creative and innovative things you're doing, because it really exemplifies taking the program and making it something that's action oriented and part of the operation of the company, and engaging particularly at all levels employees. I mean, to me, that's truly
No, thanks so
inspirational.
much.
And I'd like you to talk a little bit too, because we talked about this in our prep, on Speak Up and your hotline stats. That I think would be a really good thing to include.
Sure, absolutely. I think I share your view, because I know how passionate you are about Speak Up culture, but I always say that you can't have an ethical culture without Speak Up culture. And to actually drive that Speak Up culture, it really requires that, number one, we all model it. And that's one of the reasons why we have this Integrity in Action podcast, because we want all employees to hear from our leaders, and our leaders are always asked about Speak Up culture because it takes courage. And when you hear leaders talk about it and convey that important principle, it really is important, and that's why we focus on it. We also are very transparent. It's another reason why we share real life stories. We talk about them because we want to create that space of safety and let people know that ultimately, most of the time, where you have an ethical issue, you have someone that spoke up. And when someone speaks up, we do our best to recognize them and encourage them. And that really has, I think, a snowball effect. We talk about our ethics data, we share it transparently. It's in our Reflections and Ethics report. And we also watch other metrics like so many other compliance functions, anonymity rate. We want to make sure that we get that as low as possible so that employees know that they can report if they so choose to put their name on a complaint. And we take retaliation so seriously. We talk about substantiation rate, getting those good quality complaints, although you don't have to be right. You don't have to be right. We just say, have a good faith belief and come to us. You don't have to be right. So we are constantly talking about Speak Up culture because it's something that's so important to us in ethics and beyond. Having those diverse views, having that safe space, it's absolutely crucial to Eaton, and it's always going to be a priority for us, Susan.
Well, and Joe, having your leaders sort of walk the walk as well as talk the talk and be vulnerable and talk about, mistakes they may have made or things they wish they had done differently. I presume that's part of what they talk about and the challenges that they face. I think that really humanizes it as well.
It's really amazing. You're right, Susan. If I can just share one story that I think
Love
very
that.
emblematic.
Please. I was just going to ask you.
It goes right to your question because we had a leader come to me and they had an ethical issue that they wanted to talk about. And I asked this leader, why are you coming to me here? You've been here for a number of years. Why are you coming to me with this issue? I was curious. And what this leader said was they actually listened to our Integrity in Action podcast, where another leader was talking about the importance of speak up culture. And what this leader said to me was, I was listening to that and I realized that I wanted to speak up about something and just talk something over with you. And it dawned on me that it is so important to talk about it because sometimes we assume people know it and they really don't. And when we talk about ethics, you do not know who you're going to be impacting. You could be impacting your colleague who is sitting right across the desk from you, or you could be impacting someone thousands of miles away. Words really matter, and saying it out loud really matters. People are listening to us, and I don't think we can ever forget that, Susan.
I think that's another great example of focusing on impact and action, not just what the policy says or what the rule says. And I did want to also pull another thread. Joe, you were talking earlier, you don't want your employees to just stop at following the rules. You want them to do the right thing, even if there isn't a rule. And I think that's a key distinction between programs that focus a little too much, perhaps, on command and control, and ones like yours that are really focused on empowering employees. So I really congratulate you on that. It's just an inspiring
I
example.
think that what you said is very important and deserves to be reiterated. And I do know how passionate you are, having known you, Susan, is that laws, rules, and regulations, they truly are baseline. And at Eaton, we don't ever want to see ourselves as a baseline company. We want to do the right thing, make the right decisions, live by our values, regardless of whether there's a policy, a rule, a regulation. If we're just settling for do the right thing if there's a policy or a law, I think we failed.
Well, it's a great clarification, and I'm going to expropriate that to use the baseline analogy going forward. But Joe, it's as I said, it's just been inspirational to have you on the podcast, and I hope that we can get you back in the future to talk about your new innovations, as I'm sure you're going to continue in that space.
You said such kind words, and I would just go back to the fact that, Susan, I know how much you dedicate your life to ethics and working to really build up ethics programs. And it's really my privilege to come and talk about ethics at Eaton, but also to speak with you. I really admire your work, so thank you so much.
Well, it's mutual, Joe, so thank you so much.
Thank you.